Howdy folks, and welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Friday, December the 16th, 2016, and I have the great pleasure and honor of welcoming to the show for the first time Mr. Greg Crowe. And Greg Crowe is the president and CEO of Silver One that you can find on the Toronto Ventures Exchange under the symbol SVE, and in the U.S. under the symbol SLVRF, and on the Frankfurt market under the symbol BRK. Mr. Crowe has over 30 years experience in the exploration and mining of precious and base metal projects throughout North and South America, Asia, and Africa. Mr. Crowe has worked with major mining companies and has served as director and executive of several junior and development stage resource companies. As president and CEO of Entrée Gold, he was able to transform Entrée from an early stage exploration company to one with an advanced development mining project in a joint venture with Rio Tinto and its partner company Turquoise Hill Resources. This developed into a $12 billion project. Greg, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Well, thank you, Rory. That was a fine introduction, and it's good to have the chance to speak with you.
Well, I'm glad that you're here. There's a lot of turmoil still going on and a lot of questions regarding whether Trump is actually going to be the president or if there's going to be some kind of upheaval, but we're going to presume that that's going to happen because, and with him making all of these statements regarding moving our economy in a particular manner, making a stronger economy, do you see his presidency as being positive for the precious metals, or what's your view on how Trump will impact the precious and base metals? And if all the infrastructure spending that President-elect Trump has discussed, I would think that this would be very positive for all the metals across the board. And what are your thoughts on Trump as president for both precious metals and base metals?
Well, first of all, I think that should Mr. Trump prevail and he actually is successful in getting his policies into place with respect to, in particular, the infrastructure spending, then what we're going to see is a strengthening of the economy, and we're also going to see at the same time the start of some very serious inflationary events. And with those inflationary events, I mean, the Fed is already anticipating some of this with three projected rate hikes for 2017, three more, that's after the last one that just took place. And with these inflationary events, then I think that is going to be very good with respect to gold and silver, which generally perform well under inflation.
We can now say 100% proof positive the precious metals markets are rigged, as proven on two different occasions by Deutsche Bank in a court of law. These too big to fail banks have committed crimes that fall under U.S. federal RICO laws, same laws that were developed to bring Al Capone to justice. How do you see these crimes being handled by the federal government? Are they just going to slap them with a fine and business as usual? Do you think that someone is going to be able to actually do something about it, or what's your take on it, Greg?
Well, I think that I guess throughout history we've seen manipulation of various markets, manipulation of various commodities. In the past, this isn't, I don't think, something which is new and surprising, but I am surprised at the collusion between, in particular with respect to the gold-silver markets, not only Deutsche Bank, but UBS, HSBC, and the Bank of Nova Scotia. And will they actually be brought to task? That's going to depend on the various governments and how they want to react. And it's going to be interesting to see Mr. Trump and how he is going to direct things with respect to bringing these mega banks to task. But these are mega banks, and they are, shall we say, are they too big to fail? I don't know. Are they too big to prosecute? Don't know. So I think that possibly a fine, but I don't know whether it'll go much beyond that. Will it be the end to attempted manipulation of precious metals, of other commodities, etc.? I don't think so. I mean, we can look back to the 1990s with the Sumitomo affair with respect to the manipulation of the copper markets. These things happen. They usually become exposed, and then they correct themselves, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a new one or other, shall we say, colluders out there.
Do you think that, you said that they correct themselves, do you think that the market, the natural market, as in you and I, actual human beings, do we have the capability to overwhelm what's happening?
I think sometimes it's sort of a pendulum thing. Sometimes they overwhelm the markets, and sometimes the markets overwhelm them once they become, shall we say, exposed. So what really is the effect of these, shall we say, manipulations on the prices of the various commodities that they're trying to manipulate? And I really can't say what that is in any given particular time. But I think one of the big things that you might want to look at with respect to what also controls the price of these commodities, of course, is supply and demand as well. And that's issues which, shall we say, can't always be manipulated.
Right. Not always. And
not always.
As we're seeing what's happening in India with the huge price divergence, we're going to get into that in just a minute. But silver right now, silver in 2016 is having a very positive year. At the beginning of the year, silver was just over $14 at somewhere around 14.08, and it topped out above 19. And it's
it was
currently
actually above 20. It went over 20 there for a while.
You're right, and right now it's somewhere around mid $16. And what do you see in the year ahead for silver, given the backdrop of the Fed raising interest rates, a terrible global economy, Trump as presidency, we've got cashless societies popping up everywhere? How do you see silver performing in the coming year?
Well, overall, I see silver performing very well. Gold will also perform. But I think that if we look at silver itself, look at essentially the historic price for the gold-silver ratio. And historically, over the last millennium, it's been around 15 to 1. If we look at more recently, within the last century, it's probably traded around 40 to 50 to 1. Now we're looking at essentially a ratio of 70 to 1, which suggests to me that things are somewhat out of sync. Once the rallies begin, what I find is interesting, if you look at it, the moves are usually higher with silver, both on the positive and negative side, than they are with gold. So my belief is that if the Trump inflationary period starts next year and we see rising gold prices, we're going to see rising silver prices. And I personally believe that the silver price will perform better on a percentage basis than gold.
That's typically the way that it happens, and I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I really want to see, I would really love to see silver get out from underneath all this manipulation just to see what it's actually worth. What does the market say that its value is?
Yep.
I would really like to see that, and I'm hoping that we're going to see some move in that direction in 2017, and I think that we have a chance at it.
Yep. Well, as a silver company, I'm hoping for the same.
Yes. And speaking of which, you are the president and CEO of Silver One, and you are actually overseeing 3 different projects in Mexico. And these projects were acquired from Keith Neumeyer's First Mining Finance Corporation. And Mr. Neumeyer is one of the investors in these projects, which to me speaks in volume about the stability and the possibilities or potential of these projects. And I understand that at least one of these projects has somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 million or more ounces of silver. And Mr. Crowe, if you would please, just give us an update on these on the silver projects you oversee in Mexico.
Sure, Rory, you're right. We did acquire 3 projects from First Mining Finance in Mexico, and 2 of them do have historic resources on it. One of them is close to the U.S. border that has approximately 10 million ounces outlined to date. We are actively exploring it now. We're doing a major geochemical study to look for not only extensions to the known area of mineralization, but also to look for new targets with the aim of drilling some of those in 2017. We think there's very good potential to increase that 10 million ounce historic resource. We've also got another project close to Puerto Vallarta, just to the north and east of there, and it has a historic resource of close to 5 million ounces of silver, but it's also very high-grade silver and very high-grade lead and zinc, so it also has significant amounts of lead and zinc, which would be recoverable. It's one of these classic high-grade Mexican vein systems that they have mined throughout the centuries, and this project was actually mined up until the 1910 revolution in Mexico. It's had a little bit of small-scale mining since then, but we think it's a very, very interesting exploration target, and we're currently doing an exploration on that project as well. Third project is very strategically located just to the west of Exelon Resources La Platosa deposit, which is currently being mined, and it's one of the richest silver mines in Mexico today, and it is very highly prospective, and we've yet to start exploration on it, but we will in the near future.
Sounds great. The second project that you have that has the historic 5 million ounces, that sounds like a really interesting situation for you guys to be in.
Yeah, both of them are very good with the historic resources, but that one in particular is higher grade. But what I like about the other one is it may be lower grade, but at the same time, it's one of these near surface type deposits, which could be lower cost, open pitable type mining.
Gotta like that.
Yeah, so both are very good. Both are very interesting projects, and we are advancing them. And as you said, we did acquire them from First Mining Finance, which is Keith Neumeyer's second company. He also has First Majestic. And for that, we gave First Mining Finance 6 million shares of our company, and that made First Mining Finance, in essence, our largest shareholder. Are we looking at growing the company through, shall we say, the organic exploration of our currently owned assets? But because our deal with First Mining Finance, we brought on board one of their directors, or former directors, Raul Diaz, who's a Mexican and American citizen. He used to work for Peñoles in Mexico, which is the big government exploration and mining company down there. And he's extremely familiar with most of the operators in Mexico, and he is a good, shall we say, pipeline for potential acquisitions. And we're looking at a couple of interesting acquisitions as we speak.
Well, that sounds really cool. I mean, to have inside information, not inside information, but someone who has already been down the path, that has to be helpful.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I agree 100%. You know, just as an example, you know, someone will come to us and say, "Here, we've got this great property. We want you to look at it." You know, and I can just call Crowe and say, "Do you know this property?" He says, "Yeah, not worth your time." You know, okay, great. Or another one calls up and says, "Yeah, come and look at our property," and Raul will go, "Oh, that's exciting. Let's have a look at it." So it's you know, great for reviewing things, and as I said, he's led us down the path to a couple of good potential acquisition opportunities in the new year.
That sounds awesome. I mean, yeah, you've got to be pretty excited about all that.
Well, I am, and the timing is important as well. In my mind, when I started this Entree Gold, it was 2002. And, I mean, what was gold trading at? You know, $300 an ounce,
Right.
$250 an ounce, and it was just the perfect timing. Acquired a huge asset. Mother Nature smiled on us because little did we know that we were going to end up with one of the largest copper and gold deposits on the planet. And now we are in joint venture with Rio Tinto, retain a 20% carried interest in the richest portion of the deposit. So good for entree. That's great. But after 13 and a half years, it was time for a change. I retired, was happily cycling cycling around Vancouver when I got the phone call, and this opportunity came about for coming into this new silver company. Looked at it and said, geez, this could be really exciting because it has that feeling of 2002 all over again. Things are starting to bubble. Things look like we're on the leading edge of major growth here in the commodity sector, and in particular, silver and gold. So, good time to come back.
Good for you. I mean, I'm sitting over. I wish you could see me because I'm sitting over here smiling so big for you hearing this. I mean, that's just got to be really exciting for you to be associated with it and for it to have come about the way that it did. It just sounds really cool.
Yep. So my job is to grow this company, and I've got good support behind me. So I think we can make it a success.
You got to feel good about that.
There's no question about it, and we really just started this company about 4 to 5 months. We started about 5 months ago, but we didn't come back to trading until just over 4 months ago, and we came out onto the market very strongly, and we've pretty well maintained that strength. I mean, we have come off a little bit with the routing in the silver and gold markets over the past month, but overall, we have a very strong investor following, and we also have a very strong marketing branch to us as well.
All positive attributes. And I want to turn to India and Venezuela, and then I'll let you get back to your afternoon. And now that India has eliminated the largest banknotes in circulation and Venezuela has done the exact same thing, what role would you see precious metals playing in a cashless society? And do you see none as it does today, or a black market going full steam, or what role will the metals play as more countries ban the use of physical cash?
Well, first of all, I don't believe it's possible to have a completely cashless society, no matter what the government tries to implement or what legislation, because you're right, there's going to be a whole black market that's going to be heading up. What will be the form of the cash taking place? I mean, if the government wants to withdraw banknotes, that's fine. But what else can be used in currency? And what else is used in currency are precious metals, in particular gold and silver. I mean, you may not be able to legally print coins, but you can certainly carry gold and silver bars around, and you can use them as currency. So black markets are going to take over in these, shall we say, what are about to be failed government experiments in terms of a total cashless society. And as such, that's going to be very good for the prices of gold and silver, which will become more and more in demand.
I think that you're spot on. I think that there will be an explosion of a black market, and what we're already seeing or hearing reports out of India as far as that going on, and gold smuggling, I have to believe, has gone exponential over there, and they have shifted from officially importing gold en masse in India, but their silver imports officially have increased dramatically, and I think that we're going to see more and more of that. I mean, the Indians, they don't care, as we were talking about before we started recording. They don't really care if it's gold or silver. They know that it's money, and they know that these pieces of paper that the government issues and calls currency, they've seen it over and over and over throughout history, that they come and go. But gold, silver, they stay the same. They never change.
Yep. Well, they change relative to whatever the dominant currency is, shall we say. But overall, I mean, even though we may be talking about the decrease in value of gold and silver in the United States with respect to the U.S. dollar, which is now the strongest currency in the world, but that's only relative to a basket case full of, shall we say, other currencies. But with respect to those other currencies out there, gold and silver are performing very well. And as you said, in India, it's performing exceptionally well, mainly because of the black market.
Mainly because of the black market, and that's what I think that we're gonna see is a black market that's going to be very robust, and possibly a gray market that may be even bigger than a black market. I mean, where you've got just this kind of gray area where things are happening that are almost above board, but not quite.
Yep, and to enhance the whole story, shall we say, I just want to go back to one thing that's called supply and demand.
Right.
And we're looking at silver mining and production. It's decreasing year on year out of Mexico, which is the world's largest silver producer. We're seeing less silver produced from these big, shall we say, sulfide deposits, which comes out as a byproduct. A lot of these big porphyry deposits aren't being permitted around the world, so you're not going to see all of that type of silver coming out of the sulfide portion of those deposits which are mined. They may be mining the oxides, which are lower cost, but you don't recover silver from the oxide portions of those big, shall we say, copper type deposits. So you're seeing fewer and fewer good, pure silver mines around the world. And even, First Majestic, which touts itself as a pure silver miner, does have a component of lead and zinc and gold production to augment their yearly production figures, etc. So I see that on the supply side, less silver available. On the demand side, if we have these currency issues and people are going to start using silver as a currency, that's going to be beneficial to the overall price increase in silver. But also the industrial uses of silver are exponentially increasing all the time. And that is going to be very good with respect to Mr. Trump's infrastructure spending, and inflation will also add to the demand.
Well, I have to tell you, Greg, you've just really sparked my interest right there, and I want to ask you several more questions, but I know you need to get back to your afternoon, so I guess we'll hold them till next time. And I hope that we can do this again in the not too distant future, because I'm very excited about Silver One, and I'm also very excited about the prospects for gold and silver in the coming year and in the coming years ahead of us. I think that we've got a fairly bright future ahead of us, and we've been speaking with Greg Crowe, who's the president and CEO of Silver One, and you can find them listed on the Toronto's exchange under the symbol SVE, and in the U.S. under the symbol SLVRF. Mr. Crowe, thank you for all your time today.
Well, thanks, Rory. And I said if we get a chance to speak again, I'll certainly make the time.